I bet all of you remember the first time that you heard pan flutes, except for those of you who live in a country like Peru, for instance, or maybe a neighboring country. I don't know a lot about the story of the pan flute through time, but let's say you English-speaking white folk, or actually, probably that includes a lot of black folk, Asians, and Mexicans, and maybe even Central Americans. I don't know. But for those of you who did not grow up on pan flutes, you can't eat them. But you can suck. If you put your fingers in the right place, use two hands, you can use it as a straw. But I'll bet the best pan flute experience you ever had was your first one. First time you hear pan flutes, you get something entirely different for your ear, a different melodic, whatever they are. I don't know music, I can't talk music. But you have a totally new sound, and it's really cool. If you actually heard it on a tape or a cassette, or a cassette tape, or a VHS, or an album. The first time you hear pan flutes, it's all great, and then at one point you hear, "Hey, that's familiar." It's Simon and Garfunkel, and nothing wrong with that. They discovered a melody they liked from Peruvian pan fluters, and it was really a nice moment for you. But I don't know what it's like elsewhere in the world, but in the tourist meccas of Europe, and even in the tourist empty quarters, like the one I live in, pan flutes have become the sound of summer. And I live on a balcony that overlooks the Isola. It's a bay from here, but if you look at a map, it's really not. But it's a beautiful balcony. It's the best apartment I've ever had. We've managed to hold on to it for 14 years through several pay hikes, and been very lucky here. But the problem is there's an empty square right out in front of our building, and it's not it's off the old island, and so it's just an empty space where they keep trying to fill it. They used to have a motley sort of fair, bunch of tents selling stuff to tourists. That was the best. But some people don't like motley, and so the government decided, we're going to build a nice wooden structure that'll, be what the eye sees. Now, wood there might not be the best idea, but the general idea was good. A covered market, and whatever is inside, not white tents, which is what was there. But when they had the white tents there, it was lively, and it was, commerce at its basic best, except for the fact that too much of the people sold the same things, and so you ended up with a lot of stuff you buy in markets just about anywhere in tourist areas. The sunglasses, postcards, and every single thing that's just an inutile object. The gewgaws are all painted Isola. But occasionally, there were some interesting people selling stuff there. There was a Thai person who sold Thai things, and so you had your best situation then. Well, a new mayor came in and said, we're getting rid of that fucking thing. They made the tent people go way down away. This right here basically is where the promenade meets the old town, and it's a great corner for a fair. And it's a perfect place for people to meet because there's room, they can spill out over it. This guy had the idea to put a prefab tavern up, and it's very ugly. But, you know, people get used to it, and then they start sitting there. And then the image you have is of people sitting and drinking, which is basically a Mediterranean image. And, you know, it's just sad that they didn't give somebody a little bit of extra money and say, you know, here's the design we want, something that's sort of Mediterranean, and not strip mall USA. So then they put a bandstand up, and they just leave it up, and so we get a lot of music there, and there's still plenty of room with the tavern and all that, and I get free concerts whether I like it or not. And usually I don't, because it's usually crap. The great concerts in Sioux take place inside the old city. Once in a while there's a good one. But as philosophical type, which you have to be if you want to tolerate noise pollution, you think, well, I am kind of lucky otherwise, you know, when that's not going on. But, you know, do they have to have the speakers, you know, turned up so loud that no matter what I do, I can't even go to the back of, I can't close everything off, go to the back of the apartment and not hear it. And so that's a drag. But the last couple of years, it's the pan flutes. And today's the first day of the year that I've had the pan flutes. And the problem with the pan flutes, other than the tedious nature of it, is that they're not just playing pan flutes and Peruvian music. They now play they play a lot of Sinatra. You know, maybe I should have guessed that. I don't know much about the biography of Sinatra. Maybe he had among his retinue Peruvian pan flute orchestra follow him around. I don't know. I know about Sammy Davis Jr. I know about, I don't know, all the Dean Martin, you know, but I didn't know about the pan flute orchestra. And then the other problem is, you know, they're selling trinkets, gewgaws, fine, you know, everybody does that. A lot of, I think what they're called is dream catchers. You know, I think what they catch is just a lot of bad music, and so any relationship it has with your soul is going to be pretty. It starts with a D, and it's about 7 choices, but damaging. We'll stick with damaging. But it's just not. You don't want to buy one of those because you're bringing something. You're bringing a lot of, you know, bad vibes. They probably vibe into your home, and it's not, you know, it's not going to catch dreams. But the worst part to me, the absolute worst part is, you know, when your only goal is to sell things to people, and you know, you start, and you know, you've decided to relinquish your authenticity. You not only decide what or find what they like to hear and why people like familiarity in foreign places, why they would rather hear foreign instruments playing their music. I don't know. There's just nothing really good that I can think of that could explain that. But they also wear what to me appears to be Sioux Indian headdress. It's definitely not Southern American Indian headdress, and it may not be Sioux. maybe Cheyenne, but I'm pretty sure I've seen photos of Sioux Indians with similar headdress. You know, they got, you know, it's Hollywood Indian headdress for sure. And that's probably the worst of it. I was so tired of it last year. At midnight on a weekday, they were still playing it really loud. There was nobody around on the streets. I walk my dog in, you know, this area at night, and I went out there really fed up. And I went up and I approached. There was only one person there. Usually there are two or three. And as I approached him, I saw that he was working. He was, you know, gathering up his stuff and so on. And I came there really angry. And I wasn't going to be physical, but I was going to say, God damn it, you know. And if he spoke English, I was going to even go into the inauthenticity and whatever. Maybe. I don't know. But it was a very scrawny guy with a very simpatico face, and which he turned to me before I could let loose, and I said, you know, it's kind of late, and I live right up there, and sorry. He realized that he, you know, and so he was a very nice person, and there was not much I could do about it. And now I've got another whole summer of this. It goes on. At some point, it'll be nightly. Maybe not now. This is a big weekend. We have schools off. Whatever schools are open are closed for other reasons than COVID now. It's the May 1st holidays, and they're hitting early. And so the crowds are down to the coast, and out come the pan flutes and Sioux headdresses, playing Frank Sinatra and Barbra Streisand.